Hello. In this lesson, and this is going to be a series of lessons, we're going to learn how to count elements and atoms in chemical formulas. The standard that covers this is P.7.5D. If you wish to read the standard in full, pause the video now. Bear with me, I'm trying to learn how to use this technology. So, an element is a chemical that cannot be broken down into another substance. Each unique capital letter, that's bold and underlined for a reason, capital letter, represents a different element. How many elements are NaCl? By the way, that's the chemical formula for salt. That's sodium chloride. So, what do I mean by capital letter? Well, the N is capital, the C is capital. What I usually like to do is draw a line between them. So now I know there's one N, there's one C. But Mr. Adcock, there's a lowercase letter. Well, that's just part of the name of sodium. And that's just part of the name of chloride. Because if we just use capital letters, we wouldn't have enough letters to go around. So some of them have to have a lowercase with it to help you remember what it is. Mr. Adcock, that looks like an I to me. Well, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I'm joking, of course. But in chemistry, that's a capital L. That's a lowercase I. This is a capital I. And this is a lowercase l. Capital L, lowercase l. Capital I, lowercase I. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If not, you're going to miss a lot of questions. So, atoms. These are the smallest part of a chemical element. Combining atoms creates molecules. A molecule can be the same type of element if there's two of them combined, or it can be different ones. In this little diagram, it shows that there's two of the same element, but they're combined. There's a chemical bond that's holding them together. So it's no longer just an element, it's also a compound. This one, though, is a compound of one type of element and two of another type of element. Now we get into the fun part, math. But Mr. Adcock, we got to do math and science? Yes. Counting elements and atoms. Now we're going to look at formulas for molecules. A formula is an expression which states the number and type of atoms present in a molecule of a substance. This is a chemical formula, H2. That tells me that there's two. Does anybody know what the H means? Miss Moss, do you know what the H means? Hydrogen, yeah. That means there's two hydrogen atoms. That means there's two hydrogen and one oxygen. But Mr. Adcock, there's no one next to it. It's an understood one. Does that make sense? I don't have to just put a one there because how many capital O's do you see? One. So do I really have to put down a number one? No, that's just extra work. But there is a two next to the H, right? So that tells me there's two hydrogens. That's easy enough, right? So those little numbers are what we call subscripts. Sub means below. Script means writing. So that means below writing. So that tells me if there's two hydrogens. Does that make sense? Sure hope it does. So the small numbers after the element's name, that's a subscript. No subscript means there is only one atom present. The one is not needed. If it makes it easier for you, by all means, on your paper, not my test paper, you can write down a little one next to it, but you shouldn't have to. It's an understood value. Now let's do a couple of these. Where can I move this out of the way? All right, So let's think about it. How many elements do I see here? Well, let me count the capital letters. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 elements. All right. Bear with my handwriting. It sucks. Now let's count how many atoms we see. Well, C and U. That's a capital letter and a lowercase letter. I know that's one element. There's a capital S and a capital O. That means that there's an element, which is the S, and an element, which is the O. So let's write this out. CU. How many numbers are next to it? There's none of them. So that means there's 1. It's an understood 1. S. 1 and O. 4. How did I get that? Well, there's an understood 1 next to S, and S is sulfur. Miss Moss, do you know what Cu is? Maybe you need to look it up and tell me. And how many numbers are next to O? Well, there's a 4. Have you looked it up yet?
Internet, Mr. Adcock.
Okay, well, I'm wait on you. All right, so how many elements here? 1, 2, 3. There's 3, and I'm just going to say capital E means elements. So I'll break this down, makes it easier. So there's 2 carbon, 4 hydrogen, 2 oxygen. You see how easy that is? Wow, it's so easy. NaCl, that's sodium. We've already looked at it before. There's an understood 1, there's an understood 1, there's 2 elements, and then there's 1 sodium and 1 chlorine. Remember, that is a lowercase L, not a capital I. Capital I looks like that. The lowercase I looks like that. Capital L looks like that. The lowercase L looks like that. All right, moving on. All right, capital. So there's 2 elements. And let's draw that little line. It'll help us. 1 nitrogen. Have you found out what Cu is yet?
Copper.
Yeah, that was an easy one. And there's 3 hydrogen. How do I know that? There's a number. All right, there's 1, 4. So there's 1 Ca. And then 1, there's 4 oxygen. And there's 2 elements. HNO3, boom, boom. There's 3 elements. And then there's 1 H. There's 1 N. And there's 3 O's. Once again, my handwriting is not the best, but I'm sure you can get the gist of it. Let's do a couple more. We got 3 more left to do. And that's it for this video. So there's 2 capital letters, so that's 2 elements. There's 4 C's. C is carbon. I don't know how to do the erase on here. And there's 10 hydrogen. Magnesium bromide, MgBr. Remember, don't worry about those little lowercase letters. That's just part of the name. So there's 1 capital M, 1 capital B. So there's 2 elements. And then we've got 1 magnesium. And we've got 1 bromide. Nope, we've got 2. That's what happens when you try and go too fast. All right, lithium bromide. That's what Li stands for. Lithium. LiBr. There's two elements, and then we've got one lithium and two bromide. I think that's easy enough, don't you?